I don't want to steal the thunder of the guys. I think they're going to be hopping on here. Several of them said to make it, so I think they were listening to live. Javier's here, awesome. And one thing that was really neat, I thought, was shared on the wall today. One of the hosts, if you will, of the guys' leadership retreat gave us a little sneak peek or insight into a personal conversation that he and another coach in the network had with Gary Vee. And if you guys have read Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? Correct title. He's the author of that. Also has another book out, Ask Gary Vee. If you've followed any of his YouTube things, it's kind of what he likes to do. That's his thing, like cute is his thing. But anyway, he comes off to kind of like shoot from the hip kind of guy.
Yeah. I just started on mine.
Like what I say or don't, he doesn't really seem to care. Like that's just the kind of the feel you get from watching him and listening to him. And
right, yeah, that's on Monday nights. Yep.
Veronica, you want to mute?
Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie.
It's okay.
I'm trying to get my sister-in-law on here. Sorry.
No worries. So those two guys, the two hosts were chatting with him in the hallway after it, and it gave Gary some time to think about, you know, us as a company and what we do kind of stuff. And then he shared, you know, what people in this company should and could do to be uber successful. And it was really surprising what he said. And I'm just so excited because I know that what our team is built on. He told them that you need to basically be vulnerable, transparent, and share the crap out of your story, but in Gary Vee language, which wasn't crap. He said, you know, the most important thing for this is, you know, the relatable relationships, and the way that you're going to get them is by sharing your story, and it's going to separate you from, you know, the rest of the Beachbody coaches in the Beachbody world. And I know that it's something that you've heard from Megan and I know you've heard it on the National Wake Up Calls, but I feel like it was just like validated, you know, by him saying that to all of the men in the company that made that trip. And then that be the secret, like, aha moment for him to share backstage with both of the hosts. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't want to steal any thunder because I know that the guys have some great thing to share. Maybe we could start with just sharing like a nugget or a takeaway that you had, or something that I'm totally letting you guys lead because you're leaders. So Javier, Mike, I saw John on here. I'm not sure if Ryan's on here yet. He was squeezing in his workout, which I love. So we won't fault him for that. Who wants to go first? You guys can unmute yourselves.
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm good. How you guys doing? So yeah, the trip was an incredible experience. Tons of nuggets. I mean, just an amazing amount of information. You know, a lot of the stuff we have heard, but a lot of it really to be geared towards the urgency in which we really need to run our businesses on an everyday basis. You know, not show up one day and then the next day kind of, you know, half-assed it basically. You have to kind of show up every single day with the urgency, with that fire, revisit the reasons why you're doing this. You know, I thought that was one of the most invigorating parts of it, you know, listening to like Chris Reed or listening to Scott Mann, listening to their own background stories, like the rooftop leadership stuff that, you know, Scott Mann presented. I mean, that just created a certain fire in all us guys because we had that imagery of actually being on top of the rooftop and leading the way when nobody was following, but you had to believe that as long as you were consistent with your own work, that your own coaches, or in the case of what Scott Mann was doing with the Green Berets out in Afghanistan, that sooner or later, the people that were watching, the people that, wanted to build trust with you would eventually follow and start doing the work with you. So, as far as, building the team and getting them to, follow along, you have to show up, and you have to show up consistently. I hold myself accountable to that. I know what I know in this short period of time, and I haven't always showed up for my own coaches. Not that I didn't care. It's just that I don't know enough. I guess that's a poor excuse of mine. But, today I just picked up the phone, started calling them up, and it was more or less just down to business. I mean, let's stop the story talking. Let's stop the inspirational talk. Let's start talking numbers. Let's start setting up a game plan, A to Z every week. Let's have a 4-week game plan here. Let me help train you while I train myself and get things going. So, there's just so much. I can go on and on and on about what we learned, but I'm sure Mike.
Pages and pages of notes.
Yeah, it's just tons. It's such an amazing thing. So I'll let John or Mike take it over, but great stuff, really great stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great stuff, and especially, it's not that we haven't heard some of that stuff before. I think it was hearing it in a different light that sometimes is harder for the guys to deal with it. Like the common theme, like if those that didn't know, the common theme that we had was what was labeled as be unreasonable. And basically everyone was kind of sharing what that meant to them to be unreasonable. And everyone kind of had their different takes to it. And we all have our own different, takeaways from that. Obviously, hearing guys like Scott Mann speak, when he was talking about some of the stuff for Rooftop Leadership, I was there. I've been in those situations, so it was very easy for me to associate to that. So it's something that really hit home. But also, it's talking about even a lot of it. When we deal with the negative side of the business, with a lot of the naysayers and things like that. It's. I had made a video, and Trey Bears actually was helping me with it because he was kind of really cool with making videos. So. That's going to be coming up soon, but it was more, being yourself, owning your own stuff, regardless if you don't have this crazy story, say like Jimmy Nelson, who's 3-time college dropout, 100-pound weight loss. Then you got a guy that shared Dave Ingram, who said, I'm not a military guy. I'm not a 100-pound thing. I was just an average middle class guy doing work, trying to make stuff for my family, but I was able to do it. And I kind of looked at the common theme as kind of like being your own hero. All of us growing up had heroes, whether it was, Batman, Supergirl, whatever it was. And all of us kind of related to them because we could share and kind of join them in their struggles and in their highs and their lows. And we could picture ourselves in there, because a lot of times with heroes, heroes became who they were because of their struggle. And that's kind of what, a common theme is own your story, own your whatever it may be, whether it's a good or bad. You got to own your own stuff, and you got to make it work, and you got to share the hell out of it, and you got to get out of your own way, stop your ego, stop the I'm the guy kind of thing. It's just get out of your own way, and that was a big part of like afterwards, when Gary was talking about why the women are killing is because they're not afraid to get out of their own way, and many of the guys are too afraid to do that, which is why it hinders. And then you get the guys that don't are the ones that were sitting on those panels. So it was definitely a big thing to take away from is to not only look at business, look how you approach people. As we're saying too, the biggest takeaway is not besides the stuff that was being said in there, also what was being done afterwards. Like if you were in the airport at Dallas-Fort Worth leaving on the flight, I was talking to somebody that was sitting to the right of me and just striking a conversation. It was just all these guys going crazy with notebooks and just ready to tear this up because of what we learned. And, we had some fun people on the plane as well, but that was another story, that we had. So it was just something different to look at it from a business perspective. And I think a lot of that's going to be coming out of that we, that everyone was sharing. Let Mike switch over.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? So what I basically learned from the live event is I just got to be more vulnerable. I've had an issue with it, just like self-doubt my whole life. And like us as men, we just try and, I know personally me, I try and keep everything in and try and deal with it myself.
Clean slate each month. You need to make sure you earn those categories every month. And it's not complicated. It's just, again, another way to track our progress.
What? What just happened there?
Someone was listening to the live call.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, what was I saying? So basically what you got to do is just be vulnerable and just tell your story. Be authentic, be genuine. If you're passionate about this business, you will find a way to succeed. And it's just awesome just being in a room, 500 male Beachbody coaches, Javier, John, Brent. I just met them for the first time, and it's like I've known them forever because we just have so much in common with fitness, with nutrition, just helping people. And it's just a really positive experience. My main takeaway is you just got to execute. Because you can learn anything from any personal development book. You can go to a live event, but it's going to be useless unless you put it into action and you start. You can change it to get more successful. So that was one of my biggest takeaway. I just need to just get out of my own way and just be myself, be vulnerable. And a lot of times I post like really, like my exercise, I post more like advanced exercises. So I think I just need to just make it more basic so people can relate to it. And just picture them doing it. It's just a really positive experience, and I wrote a ton of notes down, and I'm just gonna keep going through them and just keep expanding my business from here on out. And like I said, execute. So important.
That's awesome. Some great reflections there. And I know you're saying like not do your like fancier workouts or whatnot, but I think that's still part of who you are. And that's definitely something you should still include. Not necessarily a circuit based for someone else, but like Megan does sometimes like different tiered things where you can do more advanced type moves and whatnot. And I think that's still a good idea to stick with. And then Ryan, basically I just asked everybody if they could share like a nugget that they had from the retreat. I know we're getting close to 9:30 and I want to be mindful of everyone's time, but you have the floor.
So a nugget, that's almost hard because my head's been spinning since, like I was sitting in there and I was just like, oh my gosh, I just want to go do it. I want to go do it. But I couldn't, because I had to sit there and listen. And my head's spinning to the point where like I keep thinking about what they're saying to the point where I'm not even talking to the people. I mean, I'm not even listening because there's so much. I think one thing that really hit home with me, and what I'll actually do is I'll just go through it as they said it. I'm not going to explain how, so the first question they asked, and maybe you've heard this before, one of the guys asked is, put your hands up if you have kids. And so go ahead. Lots of you, right? And the next question is, do you love your kids, right? And who doesn't? Everyone does. I love my kids. And then the next thing is, do you have a vision for them? Like, do you know, like, you want to put them into a good school, you want to put them through college, you want to put them through this, and you want to have fun, go on vacations, all these things, right? And then the last question is, do you have a financial plan for your kids? And that kind of hit home with me because I make pretty good money and whatnot. And but it just comes in and it goes and it comes and goes. I don't get to spend any time with them. I'm working all the time. And then like on my other business, I'm just always dealing with employees and insurance and this and that and just stuff that I'd love to get rid of. And so what that did is it made me realize that I'm too comfortable with where I'm at right now. Just because I make pretty good money and whatnot. But the truth is, thinking about it, I hope I'm making sense. By being comfortable, thinking about it, I'm actually now kind of uncomfortable that I'm so comfortable with where I'm at. And so what that does is creates urgency. Like, you got to get it started now. You just got to pick a plan and execute it and start today. Don't be like, well, I'm going to wait for my 6-pack abs to appear. One thing that I found interesting is some of the top coaches are not models by any means. They are, I don't even want to say it because it might be insulting, but like kind of grandfather-ish, like beer belly, whatever, right? And I can tell you, so that was one takeaway. And, another takeaway that I had that I bet a lot of people have issues with is they get caught up. They get caught up because they focus on one person, right? Like you go talk to some friend or a coworker, and they're like, oh, I think I'm going to buy it. And then they're like, say they're going to buy it, and then they don't. And then you're like, oh, why are they buying it? What's going on? And you just get caught up. And the truth is, you got to get out there and you got to talk to a lot more people. And, what I've been listening to, and this isn't just from this training event, but also from the training up to this point, is you need to Facebook ads, first of all, Facebook ads. They said that several times. And you also need to pick something about yourself that you can connect with people on. And for me, that might be, it's funny, like I've always wanted to stay away from talking to contractors because I'm kind of sick of them. That's what I am. And, but I can relate to them. I can relate to, wanting to come home, wanting to be with my kids, working all the time. So what I'm going to do is set up Facebook ads and try and target contractor fathers who hopefully are business owners, because then they'll even have a little bit of, they'll be more likely to execute. I'm just having something come up on my screen. Is everything coming through okay?
Yeah, it's
okay. Cool.
You're bringing up a lot of great points. I see a lot of everybody like nodding along with it.
I have so many points I can just keep going. And I don't. If you don't want me to, I won't.
But no, my favorite so far is the urgency that you now have because you're sickened by how comfortable you are, essentially.
Yeah. You don't want to wait. You need to get started tonight.
And I think like a lot of times when we see friends and family that are doing well, that are comfortable, and maybe they kind of have their health together, and we sometimes form an answer for them like, oh, they're all set. But that's reminding all of us that everybody kind of needs this, even the ones that appear to have it all together kind of thing.
Yeah, it comes down to self-awareness and really thinking about your life, and if you're truly happy. I love going to work and talking to the guys and stuff, but the truth is there's no reason why we can't be millionaires like all the other people on stage. Really, there's no reason. It's just basic stuff. And so that's I don't know. There was one more quick thing that I wanted to say. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, I booked my photographer. So I can't remember if it was Jimmy Hayes or Dave Ward said, he felt this need for urgency. So what he did is he just did whatever he could to blow up his business. And I've been just kind of dilly-dallying with my fitness. I exercise every day, but I've been eating like crap, They serve cookies at this farm that I've been working at, and I eat those like 5 times a day. And so I booked a photographer for 90 days out. to do a fitness photo shoot. And so if I don't execute, then it's going to be embarrassing, to say the least, anyway. And I'm going to pay her. I told her I'd pay her tomorrow, and I really haven't had a chance to get any further than that because I just got home, and that's where the conversation ended. One other thing that I should mention is these people didn't hold back a single thing. They literally shared with us their website, their passwords to log into their website, their everything. So I've never seen anything like it in this business where they shared all their notes. They apparently they even printed up their notes and they're going to distribute them to us. And so I guess my takeaway from that is you should help others too, because it's only going to help you in the end. It'll help everyone connect a little better, right? So don't be afraid to help others, like help out your coaches as much as possible, stuff like that. I guess that's it. I could really go on. I'm just looking through my notes. I took notes on my notes on the plane ride home, and I haven't had a chance to go through those yet. But yeah.
I think Megan and I and a few others on the call are laughing because we know what that fire in the belly feels like, and you can't get home fast enough to do it.
It's almost sickening. Like,
I was just going to say, like, that sounds like all of us, after a retreat or after a summit, like that's the huge one, or after a Super Saturday, it just really stresses the importance of getting yourself to an event and surrounding yourself not only with others who, want to make this work too and just have that drive, but also getting the training and the personal development and the things you need to get your mindset right. We're a pretty awesome team, and every Monday night team call, that fires people up, but
can I say one more thing too? Oh, what was it? Shit. So they set up, I don't know, 5 or 6 rock star coaches, and I just went through and just asked them questions like, do you run challenge groups? Do you do this? How do you do this? And every one of them is different. All of them recruit, I think, for the business. Like, they are out there being like, we're going to change your life and you need to come on board. Half of them don't post anything about Shakeology. Nothing. You won't even see it. You won't, nowhere. In fact, they're making fun of it. And in fact, there's a lot of things they make fun of. We won't go there. But some of them don't even run challenge groups. And I guess the point is that there's a million ways to do it. And you got to figure out what you're good at and what will work for you. And I'm still processing that. Like, I actually don't like doing challenge groups. I hate posting, but I love reaching out to people individually and talking to them after they got started. And I'm a business person, so I feel like I'm going to be able to talk to my friends a lot easier about a business instead of trying to get them to come and drink a shake because they just laugh at me. But if I'm like, hey, listen, these people are going to make a ton of money and you can do it too. So you should think about, don't be stuck on it, because don't be stuck on making this all about fitness and changing your life that way. That's a huge part of it. But think about the whole business side of it too.
Yeah, the self-awareness part comes up again right there. So like, that's clearly one of your niches. Or
in story they mentioned 100 times too. So I'm going to actually stop talking now and let someone else talk.
Yeah, I wanted to add, Ryan, you just touched on something, when you were starting to say, just basically do what you're really good at, do what you're best at. Don't try to do, and I'm going to use Gary Vee on this one. I'm not going to do it verbatim, but basically don't do what you suck at. So if you try to emulate someone else that you're watching and observing on Facebook or whatever, and you say, I got to do that just because they're doing it, if you're no good at it, it's not going to come off the same. You got to do what's natural to you, what you're really good at. Some coaches are great at making videos and it resonates well with others. Some people don't do so well with that, but they think that that's what they need to be doing. So that was one of the biggest points that I remember being talked about consistently with all the speakers. You know, there was 3 critical steps. I hope I don't run over time here with you guys, but 3 critical steps that I just have to mention real quick is that, you know, we're always talking about our stories. We're always talking about, you know, telling our stories and sharing it with people that we're trying to connect with and form connections with. And, you know, the more personal our story is, the more universal it's going to attract others. So you really have to not just scratch the surface. You have to really dig deep and make it very, very personal, because somewhere in there, it's going to magnetize the people you need or the people that you really want to connect with. So those stories really have to be very personal, very deep. And like that Mike said, it's that vulnerability, especially with us guys. I mean, our walls are pretty thick, you know, it's hard to get into us and to kind of let it out. But, you know, the more personal, the more universal is basically what that lesson was all about. There was a second thing, the physicality. I mean, I know this is kind of odd to say, but I mean, for the subject of us guys, you know, that it was talked about the physicality of how you carry yourself. And I think that resonates to anybody. I mean, the way it was kind of explained is basically just be what you admire in the people you consider the best version of what resonates with you. So, you know, walk with that confidence, talk with that confidence, you know, what you consider the best. So if you admire something in someone else or you look up to someone else, you know, just kind of, you know, be the best of that version or try to, you know, emulate that if you can, but don't try to be someone else that doesn't, you know, come natural to you. And last but not least, we always talk about, you know, giving, you know, I think what's that book, Go Givers, was a really good example. It was one of the first books I read, one of the personal development books that I read. And they talked a lot about that. And one of the points was generosity, to be generous with your time, to be generous with your time and your efforts, not only with your customers, but, you know, with your coaches as well, giving all of yourself all of the time. I think it was Bo Eason, if I'm correct, right, guys? I think it was Bo Eason who was giving the story of Jerry Rice. I don't know if you guys know who Jerry Rice is, being a wide receiver. The reason he is one of the all-time greatest football players to ever play the game is because he was the first one to show up on the football field game day, and he was the last one to leave the football field. He gave his best even during practices. He didn't just go through plays and little, you know, warm-ups, and he went full force, 100%. And that was one of the things that resonated with me. So it's just give yourself, you know, all of yourself, all of the time for the people around you. So I'll shut up now.
You got a mic drop. Oh, boom.
Well, there was a guy there that actually did do that. Did do a mic drop.
Oh no. But this is awesome.
What I liked about what he was saying about Jerry Rice is, so he was the first one on the field, and then when they're practicing, so all the other players, they went out and they did their drill, went to catch the ball, and then ran back to the quarterback, and he just sprinted as fast as he can down that football field, caught the ball, and just kept going. Because Bo Eason talked to him after the practice, and he's like, "So, like, what's up? Like, why did you catch the ball and keep going to the end zone? Why didn't you give it back to me?" And he's basically like, "Every time I catch the ball, I get into the end zone." So
that was a rule of his. It's like every time, yeah.
One thing is that one of the lines, I don't remember who said it. I didn't write down who said it, but all of us communicate, but not all of us connect. And what that is basically you need to listen more. You need to listen and ask questions and not just kind of like blow up like I do, or you try not to do anyway. And One other thing, because I know that people get a lot of objections, is, some people said, the conversation doesn't even start until the first objection, because no one's, how many people are actually going to come and say yes and that's it? I mean, how many people actually do that? Does anybody? Like maybe one or two people, I don't know. And back to the whole story about vulnerability is, if you think about what one way that I liked hearing it is, every single Disney story, the parents get shot within the first 5 minutes or so, and then there's this long struggle which people can relate with, and then everything's awesome after, right? And so the whole story is in the struggle, and that's what people can relate with. So that comes just back down to being authentic, just like everyone else said. Yeah, that's it.
All right. That was a lot of information. You guys are so excited. It's fun to see that. Like, you just heard from a bunch of women all this time, and now, I don't know, it's different and fun. I do want to say, though, like, I want to touch on one thing, and you're absolutely right. Some people find their groove, and some people don't even post about Shakeology or any product, and they just go recruit just for the business. And I think that's definitely a good thing, especially if that's what you're comfortable with. And like you said, you're a business guy. But I was talking to Jeff Hill the other day, and he said, Beachbody doesn't even consider themselves an MLM, because most MLMs, there's product involved, but they don't, like, I'm just going to name names. Like Isagenix reps, every single time one of those people messages me, there's nothing about the product. Nothing. It's just, I'm going to tell you how I can make you a millionaire. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's a balance, or like a big difference between, coming off that way and, just letting people know the potential in the products and how it does change people's lives and what our mission is, but, leading with more the business side of it in front. You know what I mean?
And I would say also, Megan, that all of the people that spoke at your guys' leadership, I'd say one of their biggest strengths is relationships above anything else. So like, that is definitely the piece that needs to be stressed too. Like, having that relationship, filling that need, and yes, awesome business opportunity. There are many ways to be successful, but I think that's where Jeff is like so focused and grounded. Our company it's always relationship first. It's always filling a need first.
Right.
I have to add, it's funny, Megan, you just mentioned like other MLMs like Isagenix. There actually happened to be a Kiani conference going on in Dallas. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I had never heard of it, but I figured it out once I saw what was happening with these other people going off on the super shuttles and whatnot. And I was eavesdropping, like listening into, team volume and all this. I'm like, are these Beachbody coaches? Because just the culture in their talk was completely different. It was all about numbers and recruit. It had nothing to do with product. It had nothing to do with any type of empathy to any of their customers or clients. And just to, shorten the story a little bit, when we got on the plane, obviously there was a lot of Beachbody dudes on the plane spread throughout. Well, there was a lot of Kiani people in there also, and I happened to sit next to one. Lucky me. And, I'm feverishly working on my notes and all of this. And eventually they made the approach halfway through the flight and, like, oh, were you at a conference also? And all that. Just her spiel was quickly right into, wanting to exchange information. And I'm looking at her and she's pushing this. She went into this 5-minute spiel of just like how great it is and, multi-billionaire, blah, blah, blah. And we've got the fastest growing team and, oh man, it would be such great. I'm looking at her, I'm like, I just told you I'm a Beachbody coach. You didn't even ask me why I would be interested. Why would this be something that I would be interested in? If it's money, I'm not interested in. So I did play the charades with her, but I'm just waiting to like get an email, and then pretty much have to blast her and say, not once in your spiel did you even consider why I would even want to do something like that. And that's the difference between what you do and what I do. And I actually care. And it was one of those lessons. And it was a company I had never heard of. And it was just like, man, that's just bad culture. And that was actually happened to be a point, a really solid point that was covered. I can't remember who. I think it was Bob Lucido about the importance of growing the culture around your team. You know,
Right.
you've got your powwow of leaders, and it's important to set the tone from the get-go on the type of culture you want to have. Well, clearly, that other company with their team, their culture is just recruit. And that was it. And oh, man, that was just like, I wanted to blow up. I was like, making me upset. I was like, you guys don't care. So
Yeah.
I thought sorry about the tangent, but yeah, I just had to share on that. So
Yeah. I really feel like we're lucky that our community and our products, you know, kind of teach us that in a way. You know, it's health and fitness. Like, you got to care to make that step. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of reflects in our business ethics, I guess. So that's cool. You guys shared a lot of great stuff. Yay, men. All right. We got to go to bed, though. So this was great. I'll try to get this recording up as soon as possible. I know a lot of people will want to see this one. And I don't have anything else to add. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
uh,